Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Fullmetal Fukumi Otaku News. So this time I'm starting with some Heaven Burns Red news because the English version Your Star has finally announced a release date. So the game is planned to release this week on November 15th. And they've been publishing more and more information on socials, on Twitter. They're starting to do some countdown illustrations. They commissioned some illustrators to do some official fan arts to count down to the English release. And they updated the official site like you can still pre-register, and we're over 200,000 registrations now, so all the pre-registration rewards were reached, and they detailed some more changes regarding the English version of the game, and most notably, like there's a lot of change that is very difficult to explain in detail for those who aren't already familiar with the Japanese version of the game. But to give you a quick summary, the biggest change is how they explain that the PD, the shading, the PD for the banners is getting lowered from 200 pools to 150 pools. So this works just like every single gacha game, right? When you do pools, you get some points, and each time you do 10 pools, you get 10 points, and when you get 150 points, you'll be able to pick the SSR, the SS you wanna get. So yeah, they lowered the PD for the banners, except for the collaboration specific banners, they said. So yeah, this is a very good change, and this will make the game like the Japanese version of the game at release was very pay to win, but they changed it a lot. Like they extremely nerfed the game, they improved the game a lot over these last 2 years. Like since the release in 2022, the game has went through major changes, and so it's not pay to win anymore. But this is still a very good change for the English version. And if you're interested in the changes the Japanese version of the game has been going through, and if you're interested in checking out things, the latest news regarding the Japanese version, on my Ko-fi blog, I've been doing some summaries of the live streams, like the Japanese version. Every 2 weeks, there's live streams to reveal the new banners, to reveal the new characters, etc. So I've been covering these for like over a year. I used to do these on Twitter threads, and now I'm doing it on my Ko-fi blog. So if you're interested, please check it out, and remember to like and subscribe my videos on my Ko-fi blog. Anyway, so they published a pre-registration trailer as well, and the other big thing is that they confirmed that the Angel Beats collaboration will be happening in the English version as well. So it's a little bit difficult to explain, but long story short, Heaven Burns Red, in its first anniversary, there was a special collaboration event with Angel Beats, because it's the same company. It's Key with Maeda Jun, and with Key and visual arts. It's all the same company. It's the same people. So they did a collaboration with themselves, and they did it's a very fan service, very fan oriented scenario. So if you don't know about Angel Beats, you won't really like it. And if you didn't know, Angel Beats, after the anime, there was a game project, but the game was never finished. They only released one part of the game, and it was supposed to have like 4 or 5 parts or something, but they only released part 1 and they never released the rest. And so these events are also a way to recycle and to publish the stories that were supposed to be in these games, in these Angel Beats games, because I booted up my own account of Heaven Burns Red. Let me show you. So I booted up my own account of Heaven Burns Red, and the Angel Beats events, the first year they added Kanade and Yurippe and Miyuki, and the story of the event, it was focused on Miyuki, because she's one of the many characters that was in the anime, but they never reveal her story in the anime, and they never reveal her background. So this event was focusing on her and revealing her story. That was in 2023. And then in 2024, they did another Angel Beats collaboration for the second anniversary of the game, and this time they added Hisako, and this is the same thing. Hisako is also a character that isn't very developed in the original anime, so they told us her story in this new event. So yeah, and the English version, they finally confirmed that these Angel Beats events will be in the English version as well. However, they didn't say when, but yeah, it's safe to assume it will be coming in a few months or something also. So yeah, I've been saying this all the time, but Heaven Burns Red is my favorite gacha game of the moment. It's one of my favorite games, period, because the story is amazing and it's a really, really good story. And so yeah, I definitely recommend the game to you. Like, you should try it out at the very least. And obviously, one thing you should know is it's like a visual novel. It's a visual novel with an RPG battle, turn-based RPG elements. It's not an RPG. It's not a JRPG. It's a visual novel first, and then on top of that, we have some battle story, some turn-based battles. But you shouldn't expect. You should mainly expect to be reading and listening to dialogue most of the time. But yeah, it's the story is really, really amazing. Like, it's really, 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 really cool, really, really funny. Like, this is my favorite game this last 3 years, so I really recommend it. So yeah, that's all for Heaven Burns Red. So this got announced a few weeks ago. I didn't have the time to talk about it, but the Amagami ASMR voice drama series, they announced a brand new episode, this time focusing on Hibiki senpai, and it's pretty cool because Hibiki is not one of the main heroines in the game, in the original Amagami game on PS2 and on PS Vita. So this is really nice that they're bringing this back to make some side stories for the side heroines as well. So the Amagami voice drama series, it started back in 2022. And it was like when the game was celebrating its 13th anniversary or so, and they mostly released them in 2022, like with Riho senpai, with Riho the first girl, and then they slowly made some episode with each of the girls, and then like they nearly all released in 2022, and then there was like nothing, and then they only released one in 2023, and now this year in 2024, the original Amagami game is celebrating its 15th anniversary, and now like this November 2024, they finally reveal and release a brand new episode of these ASMR voice dramas, and this is really cool because like, if you're a huge fan of the game like me, like, this is a good way like to get some new stories with the characters and with the heroines. And yeah, and they even published some really cool like drama, some really cool manga to explain how the project went and how they decided to do a voice drama episode for Hibiki. And they even they mention the staff, they bring us the staff, and they even talk about her seiyuu, Askawa Yuu. And Askawa Yuu is one, like, she's a legendary seiyuu, and she did Makoto in Lovina. She was the voice sample for the Vocaloid Meguri Neruka, and she voiced Rider Medusa in Fate Stay Night. She voiced all her sisters as well. She voiced Choyun in Ikkitosen, and she voiced many characters. And this is pretty interesting because she's one of the first seiyuu, she's one of my favorite seiyuu, and Askawa Yuu is one of the first seiyuu who was already streaming on YouTube and then on Twitch, even before the pandemic, because in 2020, with the pandemic, a lot of seiyus all started doing, they all opened a YouTube channel or a Twitch to do some live readings for kids at home and do some story reading, etc. for kids. But Askawa Yuu, she was already streaming even before that point, even before it was cool for seiyu to open up their own YouTube. She was already trying to connect with her fans, and she learned English, and she used to stream a lot of Capcom games, Resident Evil, some Neo games, etc. back in 2018, and then she switched to Twitch, and now like she's streaming like regularly, like at least 2 or 3 times per week. She's always streaming on Twitch these days, and I've been watching her a lot. And nowadays she's playing Wukong at the moment. She's playing Wukong, and yeah, so this is very cool. And Amagami, I'm still hoping that one day they do some kind of remake or remaster. I think they could do a remaster because the game is popular enough to do at least a remaster. I think it's going to happen maybe at some point. And I really wish they would do a sequel as well. And technically, there was a sequel to Amagami back in, I think it was back in 2017. It was called Seiren, but it was only an anime, and I watched this anime. I liked it a lot. It's a spiritual successor to Amagami, but it's also a sequel in a way because there are some of the siblings, some of the younger siblings of the characters from Amagami that appear in this series, and it's taking place like 10 years or 15 years after Amagami or something, after the ending of Amagami, and they don't specify which ending actually happened, like what happens to the girl, etc. They don't talk about this in detail. That is, they're just saying that it's taking place like around 15 years later in the same school, basically. And Seiren, I liked the anime a lot, and it was an omnibus anime, so you had it was one cour, only 13 episodes, and like there's 6 heroines, but only 3 heroines got some arcs in the anime. So there's still 3 heroines that never got, I think it's hair, and I think hair. Like these 3, they have their arcs in the anime, the 4 episodes each. Like every time the arc ends, the story resets with the protagonist resetting and like forming a relationship with another girl. And then these 3, they didn't get the arc. And I'm still hoping that one day they will do some kind of Seiren game, because obviously it was meant to be a game, but they didn't do a game. They only did an anime, so they could only do half of the story. So I really hope they do some game at some point, but I'm not getting my hopes up. And yeah, so maybe if they actually do an Amagami remaster or remake or something, maybe they could try and do a Seiren game adaptation as well. So very quick news, I didn't mention this until now because I forgot, but Koei Tecmo, they announced a special live stream for the 7th anniversary of Dead or Alive Extreme Venice Vacation, and most notably the live stream will also focus on Venice Vacation Prison, the visual novels that will be released on PlayStation and on PC. So I'm going to try, inshallah, and make some kind of summary of the live stream when it happens. And the live stream will be featuring some of the seiyuu. So we'll have Shandi's seiyuu Shimoji Shino, Nanami's seiyuu Shimabukuro Miyuri, and what was the name again? Shizuru seiyuu Yomiya Hina. And in the second part of the stream, they explained like this is in the first part of the stream. We will have these 3 and the seiyuu. They will reveal what they are doing for the 7th anniversary of the gacha game. And then in the second part of the stream, they will show some new gameplay of Venice Vacation Prison, and maybe reveal some new detail on the game they didn't reveal yet. So I'll try to make some kind of summary on my blog, on my Ko-fi blog, once the stream ends. So yeah, so it's going to be like 3 hours long. So the Venice Vacation Prison part will be only 45 minutes long. So like I'm not expecting like huge stuff, but like I'll definitely going to try and watch this live, so I'll be able to write about it on my blog later on. So yeah. So this the Venice Vacation Prison part. Since Nanami seiyuu will be there, they will be focusing on Nanami, and since Nanami is my favorite character in the gacha game, I'll try to watch it and write some stuff about it. So yeah, there's nothing else, I think. Like that's all. So yeah, I'm still pretty excited for this game, and I'm like I still don't know if I'm going to take it on PS4 or on PC, but I'm probably going to get the game on PC, I think. So Circus on November 11th, they held a special live stream on Nico Nico Doga for their 25th anniversary, and Circus is the company who's doing the Dakapo series, and the Dakapo series is like one of the most popular galge bishoujo visual novels. Galge has been ongoing for over 20 years, 25 years, and Dakapo, like, it's a very iconic series, very popular, and it's still continuing. The last game in the series was Dakapo 5, which released in 2023. It's on PS4 and Switch. And at the event, at the end of the live stream, they announced that they're making a Dakapo remake project, and they didn't specify anything else. And so Dakapo, I know about it because there was an anime adaptation back in the early 2000s, and I watched some of it. I don't remember if I watched all of it or not, but like, it is one of the, back in the early 2000s, it was when a lot of visual novels were starting to get anime adaptations for the very first time. It was when visual novels were getting anime adaptation for the very first time. You had the Tsukihime anime, you had the Comic Party anime, etc. And that's how I discovered all these games. And that's why Dakapo is also just like Comic Party, or just like ToHeart, just like Kimi no Zo, Kimi ga Nozomu Ein, etc. Like just like ToHeart, etc. It's one of these games I always wanted to play because I watched some of the anime over 25 years ago, back when they were getting anime adaptations. And so yeah, so Da Capo is a very peculiar series because like I'm not familiar with it at all. So you shouldn't quote me on this, and you should take everything I say with a grain of salt. But like I've double checked, and from what I know, Da Capo 1 and 2 they're related, and then Da Capo 3 was kinda related, but then 4 and 5 they're all standalone. But Da Capo, the main peculiarity of the series is how there's tons of fan discs and tons of ports, and I found this chart, and this is just for Da Capo 1, the very first game. The very first Da Capo, it had tons of fan discs and tons of ports because they ported it on consoles, and then they did ports of the console ports back on PC, and each time they remove, obviously needless to say, when they port to consoles they remove the H scenes, but when they port back to PC they add new scenes, and on the console ports they add new scenes as well. Like they did tons of re-releases and reports on consoles and on PC and back on PC and back on console, and tons of fan discs and stuff. And this is just for the first game, and each game in the series is basically like this. And so yeah, but so as far as I know, like it's pretty popular, like at least it still has some kind of public. Another peculiarity about the Da Capo series is like it's not really a series which is made by the same people. For example, if you take a look at Fate Stay Night, obviously there's tons of different authors now who's working on FGO, but obviously it's always Nasu, right? It's always Nasu and Takeuchi who's mainly were like the main writers of all the Nasuverse, and that's why we say Nasuverse, right? But Da Capo is not a series like that. Da Capo, if I double checked, and from what I know, basically the first game was by a certain person, and then the other games are by other people as well. So even if Circus is a company that's been around for 25 years, it's not the same people working on the Da Capo series for first 25 years. It's like there's a rollout, there's a rollout, and each game is basically like made by different people, from what I gathered. So yeah, like this is like I have mixed feelings about this kind of remake projects because, like I just said, Da Capo is one of the games I want to play ever since I was a kid. So I just want to play the original game. I'm not that interested in a remake, and like I don't really like, I wouldn't say I don't care, because especially in Da Capo's case, maybe if they actually make a remake of the first game that actually encompasses like all the various additions on all the fan discs, it could definitely be interesting, like as a definite version, to just play that instead of playing the original. But yeah, I'm not particularly like, I'm excited from a cultural viewpoint, but personally, like I just want to play the original game. And that's the same for Tsukihime, and why I bought the remake. I started playing it, but I didn't finish it yet because I want to play the original first. And that's the same for many games. So like this is pretty cool news. And one thing I wanted to mention is, obviously when this happened, I've seen a lot of Japanese otaku making jokes, are we really in Reiwa? Like, are we really in 2024? Like so many franchises from other 20 years ago are getting remakes, are coming back, etc. And like personally, I think it's a shame that I don't see a lot of people like actually discussing like the visual novel industry and why these remakes are happening, like be it in the English side or in the Japanese side. Maybe that's just me, and obviously Twitter is not a reflection of reality, but like I don't think enough people are discussing about why these remakes are happening, like how the market changed, etc. And this is one thing I want to try to do on a video and in an article one day, to talk about the galge market and the otome market and the josei muke market regarding visual novels, and how it changed, and how sadly the English visual novel market never really popped off like many expected, and how, in contrary, for example in Asia, especially in China and in Korea, the visual novel market has been skyrocketing, and it's why all visual novels, they are all localized in Chinese first, instead of English, and this kind of stuff. I want to discuss all of this in a video or in an article one day, and it would be great if I could get paid for this, but like I'm not getting my hopes up. Like I'm gonna try and pitch this somewhere. Like there's a lot of things to say about the visual novel market and how it changed it, and how Steam has been playing a big part as well with the access of Steam in China, and how this played a huge part in making visual novels more popular over there, etc. Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of weird. Like a lot of people are, I feel like a lot of people are only making jokes. Ha ha ha! Are we really in Reiwa? Aren't we still what was in Showa? I'm still in Heisei. Are we really in Reiwa? But like I think there's a lot of discussions to be had regarding the market and regarding this niche Japanese galge and these bishoujo games, etc. And I really want to discuss them. But yeah, like this is exciting news, like for the culture and for the what's going to happen. It's pretty exciting. And so, staying on the subject of galge and bishoujo games, the last thing I wanted to talk about today is the Aquaplus 30th anniversary event that happened on November 9th and 10th. So Aquaplus, they did a big concert and a big event with tons of artists, tons of seiyuu, and they made several announcements. And one of these announcements is a brand new Utawarerumono game, and they announced it's going to release in 2025, and it's basically a sequel to Monochrome Mobius. Monochrome Mobius was a new Utawarerumono spin-off that released in 2022, and basically this new game is going to be a sequel, and it's pretty interesting that they didn't call it Monochrome Mobius 2, they're just calling it Utawarerumono Shiro no Michishirube. That's the subtitle, Shiro no Michishirube. And I guess, like, Monochrome Mobius, like I think a lot of people, they didn't even know it was an Utawarerumono game because they didn't call it that. And sadly, like I wouldn't be surprised if there's some boomers, some anime boomers who like Utawarerumono for over 25 years, like they didn't even know Monochrome Mobius existed because it's not the same name. So I think like it's mainly for a business reason that they're changing back the name to Utawarerumono. And so yeah, and they revealed some screenshots, and Masato will be showing, what was the name? Karura, a very iconic character from the first Utawarerumono game. And Utawarerumono, the first game was released, I think it's written in the press release here. The first game was released in 22 on PC, and then they did an anime, and that's how I learned about the series with the anime. The Utawarerumono anime, it was aired in 2006, and honestly, I think it's one of the best game to anime adaptation series. I remember liking it a lot, and it's very funny because I actually watched it. I think I watched it with the French dub. I'm not sure. Like it aired in France like 1 year later in 2007 or something. I think they were airing both the Japanese dub with French subtitles and the French dub, and I watched both or something, and I really liked it. And I remember thinking it was kind of like a wafu, like a Japanese version of Escaflowne, because Escaflowne is fantasy with mecha. Utawarerumono, in a sense, it's the same thing because it's a fantasy based in ancient Japan and based in Ainu culture and in Hokkaido culture and Ainu culture. But it's like there's also some technological elements and some fantasy elements, and there's some mecha, some small size, some medium size mecha who are like 4 or 5 meter tall. It kind of reminded me of Escaflowne, even if in Escaflowne the mecha are much bigger, the normal size like 10 meters or something, because like it was like because Escaflowne is mainly Western, like with some knights and some spears and some empires, Western empires, and some steampunk, etc. With Van's country, Fanelia, being a little bit more Japanese coded, and Van is using a katana, and Escaflowne is more like, it looks like a knight as well, but like it has the dragon thing, etc. So it's more like Oriental, and Utawarerumono is kind of like this, but except it's only pure Oriental, so it's all Japanese based, and I really like the anime. And yeah, so like I was saying earlier, regarding ToHeart and regarding Da Capo getting a remake, and how Da Capo and ToHeart and Comic Party, etc. They're all these kind of games I've known about since I was a kid because I watched the anime adaptations and why I want to play them. And Utawarerumono is the same. It's yet another game. I never played it. I really want to get into the series one day, but I didn't get into it yet. And so yeah, and Utawarerumono, from what I gather, the original game was supposed to be a trilogy, but they only released the first game, and then finally in 2015, they finally released the second game, and then the third game right after. And then you also had Utawarerumono Zan, which were retelling of the second and third game, but in action RPGs instead of turn-based RPGs and tactical RPGs. And so yeah, so that's one of the big announcements they made at the Aquaplus 30th anniversary event. And then following that, the second major announcement at the Aquaplus 30th anniversary event was how they restarted the Jasmine project. And Jasmine is a game that was announced in 2015, and then the development got cancelled, and now they said that they're bringing it back, and they actually release the game now. And they didn't really like reveal anything except for this key visual of a girl in a sunflower field. So it's very galge, very bishoujo game-like. And the game is being written by Suzumoto Yuichi, who is one of the main scenarists of Utawarerumono, and he also worked on White Album, on Air, on Clannad. Basically, he worked on several games by Key, and then he worked on several games by Aquaplus, including White Album, all the Utawarerumono series starting the second game, and I think he was on the starting the second game and the third game, and on Planetarian another very iconic Key game. And meanwhile, the character designer of the Jasmine project is Kawata Hisashi, who also worked on many Aquaplus games, including ToHeart and White Album and the Dungeon Traveler spin-offs. And so yeah, so this is pretty, like, they didn't say anything about the game yet, but I'll definitely keep an eye on this. And like, it's a very cool announcement to make, like, because like I was saying just a few minutes ago, like, the visual novel market has considerably changed, so it's nice to see these kind of projects can still happen anyway, even though like the market has completely changed with the mobile markets, and most visual novel writers working on mobile visual novel gacha games, and how visual novels are mainly setting in China. And I guess, like, in my opinion, one of the reasons why they're restarting this Jasmine project is, in my opinion, I think they definitely realized that they could sell it pretty well in China if they localize it well, and if they make a good game, it will definitely be able to sell pretty well, thanks to the prestige of the Aquaplus brand and being very popular in Asia and in China. So that's my analysis of why they decided to restart this Jasmine project. And then the third big announcement at the Aquaplus 30th anniversary event was a brand new RPG called Project Kizuna. And they said it's made by, basically, this is pretty interesting because it looks like this is a new game by the team who made the first Utawarerumono game. And since then, they worked on other things, and they worked on basically other Aquaplus games, but like, this is, instead of picking the people who mainly worked on Utawarerumono 2 and 3 and Monochrome Mobius, like, they called back the people who worked on the very first Utawarerumono from 2002 to make a brand new project. And so yeah, so the scenarist of the game of Project Kizuna is Suga Munemitsu, and Suga Munemitsu is basically the main scenarist of Utawarerumono and the main scenarist of the first original Utawarerumono game. And same with the character designer, who was also the character designer of the first game and of ToHeart 2. But the so worrying thing, however, is that the director is the same person who directed I Am Setsuna, and I Am Setsuna is a very in my opinion, it's a very disappointing game. Like it's one of these many games. It was part of the Tokyo RPG Factory thing by Square Enix. Like it was way too overconfident. They were always saying we're making real successors to Chrono Trigger, real successors to the golden era of Super Famicom JRPG, etc. But the games are very lacking. Like all the Tokyo RPG Factory games, like they're extremely lacking in my opinion. So this is kind of worrying that the person who directed Ayam Setsuna is going to direct Project Kizuna. But obviously at the same time, like it's not like a game is made by a single person, so it's worrying, but it's not that worrying either. And hopefully, the game will turn out to be pretty good. So yeah, one of the reasons why Utawarerumono was popular in the early 2000s, back when it released, it was popular in English as well because at some point it got an English patch. But one of the reasons was how the gameplay and the tactical RPG battles were pretty well received, from what I remember 20 years ago. Like on English anime blogs, a lot of people were talking about Utawarerumono, the original game on PC, and how the battle system was cool, etc. So hopefully, maybe imagine if they can, like, if they manage to replicate this feeling, and if they work on the RPG systems well enough to make it work. And this will be pretty interesting, I guess. I guess another worrying thing is technically they didn't specify if this is going to be on consoles or on mobile. So I guess it's not impossible this could be a gacha RPG game, right? From what I gather, because as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, in the press release, maybe because sadly I wasn't at the event, obviously I'm not in Japan, and I didn't read about the event in detail yet, because the producer and Shimokawa, the producer of Aquaplus, has made many comments on each project and on each announcement on Twitter, and I didn't get the time to read this in detail yet, but I think they didn't specify if Project Kizuna is going to be on consoles or mobile. So it could as well be a gacha game. So we'll see how it develops and when we will get more information. And so the last big announcement at the Aquaplus 30th anniversary was the ToHeart remake. And ToHeart is one of the most iconic galge. It was released in 1997. It's like one of the most defining games of the genre. And there was also a PlayStation port, and this is like one of the reasons why it got even more influential and popular. And there was also an anime series, and that's also how I heard about the series game in the first place, like many others. And like, just like I said earlier, like Comic Party and like Utawarerumono and like Kimi no Zo, etc. It's thanks to the anime adaptation that I learned about ToHeart, and it's also one of the games I want to play ever since I was a kid. So yeah, so they revealed the first details for the remake. It's going to be released on PC and on Switch on Steam and on Switch in 2025, in spring 2025, and there's also already specified that the characters will have brand new seiyu, but however, you will be able to switch between the new cast and the old cast, so that's a very good thing. And so yeah, so this is to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the company. They also specified that basically the game will have 3D cutscenes. Like, it's not a full 3D game. It's still going to be 2D with 2D illustrations, but however, the opening animation and all the events in the game, basically all the cutscenes, the events in the game, they will be in full 3D. And they didn't specify yet, are they using Unreal Engine or are they using an in-house engine or something? Because usually nowadays, anime games who use Unreal Engine, the face of the characters, they tend to not show a lot of emotion, and that's something I talked about back when the Sora no Kiseki, the Trails in the Sky remake was announced by Falcom. I was saying that the Falcom in-house engine is really good because they show how, like, if you look at Estelle's face in the trailer, she has really, really good moe emotions, which is something a lot of Unreal Engine games anime games running on Unreal Engine nowadays lack. So like I can't really tell from the screenshots, but like it looks okay, I guess. Like they look pretty good in my opinion. And of course we have Multi, who is like arguably the most iconic character from ToHeart, and like one of the characters that like started the trend of like moe robot girls with together with Shobits, the manga by Clump. It was around the same time as well. And so yeah, that was the final big announcement. So personally, like I was saying earlier, like I wanna play the original, so it's not like I'm not particularly interested in the remake, but yeah, this is definitely an interesting announcement for several reasons. First off, the price is very low, so I'm not expecting some kind of huge budget remake either on like this. That's why it's not going to be full 3D, just the cutscenes and just the events. Like it's not going to be a full 3D game. And then I assume there are, like I already say this many times, but like seeing how the visual novel industry in China has been skyrocketing, and how many of these people, many of the Chinese otaku, they're fans of these early 2000s visual novels, like there's no surprise that this is getting a remake. So I think if they play their card well, this could sell really, really well in Asia, and we'll see how it goes in 2025, inshallah. So that's the last thing for today, I guess. And so yeah, ToHeart, like I don't think I actually watched the anime. I heard about it, but like back so I've already said this story many times, but I watched anime ever since as far as I can remember, because my siblings, they used to watch anime as well, and they used to watch animes in '80s, which was aired in France. And then as we started in the years, I was watching years of '80s anime in France back when I was a kid in the '90s. And then starting 2001, we started downloading fan subs, and we started with Lovina, with Kodomo no Mosha, etc. And then in 2001, we started watching Gundam Seed as it was airing in Japan with fan subs. And then I kept watching anime season by season until 2016, and then I kinda took a step back. I still watch anime, but I don't watch seasonal anime anymore while it's airing. I don't really watch anime while it's airing anymore. So yeah, maybe they will make some Comic Party remake one day. Comic Party is one of the highest priority game when it comes to games I want to play ever since I was a kid. So I'm going to try and play this pretty soon and write my impressions on it, and then maybe go to ToHeart and to Kimi ga Nozomu AN, etc. But yeah, Comic Party is the first one I want to play. And so yeah, like, thanks for watching and see you next time. Remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.